Good afternoon, and welcome to the Town of Surf City Council meeting. At this time, I would like to call upon Pastor Nathan Swartz to come up with Chapel by the Bay Church and lead us in our invocation. If you would, please stand.
Yes. Let's pray together. Lord Jesus, we pray that you give us the insight and discernment. Thank you so much for this great town and community which we get to be a part of. We pray for the mayor and the town council, and we pray, Lord, that you will give them both discernment, knowledge, and wisdom in the midst of all the decisions they're making. Thank you, Lord, that we get to live and be a part of this great town and this great place. What a privilege it is to be able to serve it. We love you, Lord. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. If you would, please continue standing, and Miss Avery is going to lead us in our pledge. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Before we get started, I just wanted to welcome you again and welcome our new attorney that is sitting down here with us tonight. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Good evening, Brett DeSelms. I'm happy to serve the town. I actually have a place down here in Surf City as well, so very interested in being able to serve.
Thank you, Brett. So we have a very busy agenda with 3 proclamations this month, one being Safe Boating Week, one being Beach Safety Week, and National Police Week. And I am going to call up Dave Parker from the Safe Boating. He's here with us tonight. And I'm going to put on my life jacket with you, Mr. Parker.
Madam Mayor, distinguished council members, I can't tell you how happy I am to be here back in Surf City tonight. When I walk in and the mayor of the town has got her inflatable life jacket in her hand, I know that we're in a place where you take our message seriously. So we're happy to be here. We really are grateful for the warm welcome and the strong support we always get here, and we know our program gets here. I don't want to take up much of your time here. You probably know what I'm going to say. I hope you already know what I'm going to say. The boating safety statistics show that almost the only way you can lose your life in a recreational boat accident is through drowning. And they show that it's almost impossible to drown if you have a life jacket on. It's not quite, but it's close to it, close to being impossible. But it also shows that a life jacket's like seat belts on a car. It's no good just to have them in the boat with the idea you're going to put them on when trouble comes. It's just like a seat belt. You're not going to have time. Accidents don't work like that. And so you need to wear your life jacket dock to dock. You need to put it on when you get in your boat, and you need to wear it until you come back onto land. The U.S. Coast Guard and the Power Squadron, which is my organization, we have been for at least 50 years flogging this item right here. This is a Type 2 life vest, PFD they call it, for like as long as I can remember. We've been trying to get people to wear these things dock to dock, and it has failed. There's no point in us flogging this dead horse anymore. People will not wear this thing dock to dock. Now, I don't know if it's just too bulky. I don't know if it's just too hot to wear in the summer, but they won't do it. And the light came on in my head when I realized I'm the safety officer of the Power Squadron, and I won't wear it in my boat dock to dock. I won't. I just didn't. And I realized there was no point in us trying to get people to wear these things. We need to go to Plan B. And this thing I have on here, and Madam Mayor's got hers there, this is Plan B. Now, this thing here is a automatically inflatable life vest. And the way this thing works is if I fall in the water, it's got a gadget in it that will inflate it to where it looks kind of like this when it's filled up with air. And it will float you better than anything you can imagine. If you want to, you can manually inflate this by jerking this thing here down on the corner. And this thing it costs a little more than this. You can buy these for about $55. And you can actually get them at Costco a little cheaper than that, but they're generally around that price. This thing here is comfortable. You can wear it dock to dock. And this, I am here to say, is the future of boating safety. This is what you need to buy to have on your boat, and you need to have them on, for your friends too. Because we really have just, there's no point in trying to get people to wear this thing. They're not going to do it. So that's really my message tonight. That's our general slogan is wear it, which means your life jacket. Put it on. Don't just have it in the boat. And I believe that the future for that is these inflatable life jackets. So that's my pitch to everybody here in the room. You're probably all boaters, at least probably 2/3 or 3/4 of people here. So I know you all can know what I'm talking about. But anyway, thank you for your time, and thank you for being such good host to our program.
Thank you. So the town of Surf City does have a Surf City proclamation for Safe Boating Week, declared May 18th through the 24th, 2024. Whereas the beautiful coast waters of Surf City represent the world-renowned recreational resource that residents and visitors alike are drawn to each and every year for beach activities and water activities. Whereas year-round people continue to enjoy all that the natural environment has to offer through the joy of boating. And on average, 613 people die in the U.S. each year in boating-related accidents, with approximately 80% of these caused by drowning. And whereas year-round people continue to enjoy all the natural environment has to offer through the joy of boating, and whereas approximately 86% of drowning cases, the victim was not wearing a life jacket, and whereas it is apparent that wearing a life jacket is the single most important factor in reducing boating-related deaths, and whereas the National Safe Boating Council, supported by U.S. Power Squadron and other national associations, has been set for May 18th through May 24th, National Boat Safety Week. Now therefore be it resolved that the town of Surf City hereby proclaim May 18th through the 24th as Safe Boating Week in this town, and urges all persons to wear a life jacket at all times while boating. This was passed and approved on this day, May 7th, 2024. This is great. So I will tell you, we were out and about in town, and I was wearing this life jacket when the chief, Wilson, gave me the life jacket to put on. I was just like, wow, this feels really good. I could wear this. I will wear this on the boat, you know. It's not something that I feel is up against my neck and I'm struggling with. So I wore it on the boat with Chief Wilson on a little tour of our intercoastal. I wore it to get coffee. I also wore it, where else did we go? We went to Herrings and took a little kayak ride, and we went to East Coast Sports, and we also went out on the beach and did a little surf fishing with some people visiting from Charlotte, and we saw the children from EMA, and they were always saying, they all shouted together, if our toes touch the water, we have to wear our jacket. So we were very pleased that they were learning that in the school that day. So again, this does feel very comfortable. I would definitely wear it myself, and we'll continue.
What happens if I pull this?
You know, so if you want to come on up, we can grab a picture together.
You know, I don't think they do. I've been looking for them. I can't say it positively, but I am thinking. Thank you. Thank you.
I'm going to share the love with you, John, if you want to wear it.
No. I love it. Put on this thing to inflate
No, it's okay. So moving on to our next proclamation, Beach Safety Week, which comes out of our fire department with Ocean Rescue. And since John Koloski is our liaison for fire and the police chief, you can come on up as well. Come on up. Fire chief, I'm sorry. Fire chief.
I'm not taking his spot.
I'm sorry. He's next. He's next. So.
Okay. Ready? Okay, so Surf City, Officer of the Mayor, Surf City, North Carolina Proclamation. National Beach Safety Week. Whereas the beautiful coastal and inland beaches of Surf City represent a world-renowned recreational resource, and whereas Surf City residents and visitors alike are drawn to these beaches by millions each year for water and beach activities, and whereas the aquatic environment has dangers, particularly rip currents, that can be effectively managed through public awareness and vigilance of professional rescue swimmers, and whereas the reason for public safety and annual reminder of joys and hazards associated with aquatic environment are appropriate at the commencement of the busy summer beach season, and whereas Surf City residents and visitors alike must remember, learn to swim, learn rip current safety, never swim alone, designate a water watcher, alcohol and water don't mix at the beach. Feet first water entry, life jackets, save lives, observe signs and flags, and beat the heat and block the sun. And that's part for you.
Now therefore be it resolved that I, Teresa B. Batts, the mayor of Surf City, North Carolina, do hereby proclaim May 20th through the 27th, 2024 as National Beach Safety Week in Surf City, and urge all residents using our beaches to enjoy themselves at the beach this year while taking appropriate measures to protect themselves and their children, passed and approved, adopted this 7th day of May by the mayor and the town council of Surf City, North Carolina. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now moving to National Police Week, and the liaison for the police department, Jeremy Shugarts, is going to read their proclamation.
Actually, Teresa said I have too many of these to read. Can you help us by reading them? That's actually what happened here, so. Okay. Whereas National Police Week was established in 1962 by President John F. Kennedy, along with a joint resolution of Congress to pay special tribute to those law enforcement officers who have lost their lives in the line of duty for safety and protection of others. And whereas there are approximately 800,000 law enforcement officers serving in communities across the United States, including the dedicated members of the town of Surf City Police Department. And whereas since the first recorded death in 1786, more than 23,785 law enforcement officers in the United States have made the ultimate sacrifice and been killed in the line of duty. And whereas the names of these dedicated public servants are engraved on the walls of the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial in Washington, D.C. And whereas 282 names of fallen heroes are being added to the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial this spring, including 118 officers killed in 2023 and 164 officers who died in previous years. And whereas the service and sacrifice of all the officers killed in the line of duty will be honored, and the names of those officers newly engraved on the memorial will be formally dedicated during the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial Fund 36th Annual Candlelight Vigil to be held on the evening of May 13th, 2024. And whereas the Candlelight Vigil is a part of the National Police Week, which will be observed this year, May 10/16.
Now therefore be it resolved that I, Teresa B. Batts, mayor of the town of Surf City, North Carolina, do hereby proclaim May 10th through the 16th, 2024 as National Police Week 2024 in the town of Surf City, publicly salute the service of law enforcement officers in our community and communities across the nation, passed, approved, and adopted this 7th day of May 2024 by the mayor and town council of Surf City, North Carolina. Thank you.
I'd like to take a minute, if I could invite all the officers that are in the room to come up and stand right here for me, please.
Thank you.
First, I'd like to take the opportunity to thank the mayor and council for your leadership and dedication to the police department. Without you and your support of the police department, our mission would not be possible. Thank you all very much. Moving on, I'd like to introduce some of our officers here. What you're seeing here is about 45% of our police force in Surf City. We have slots for 25 sworn police officers. This is Lieutenant Hauser, Captain Johnson, Officer Schultz, Sergeant Kincaid, Corporal Corliss, Officer Wells, Sergeant Freud, Officer Negley, and Detective Cable. If anybody's ever heard me speak before at any kind of event or anything about any of the police officers that work for the department, you always hear me talk about milestones and professional development of our police officers and having a professional police force. There's a couple people here tonight that I wanted to recognize specifically. And the first one's Captain Johnson. Captain Johnson's been an employee of the Surf City Police Department for 28 years, and he's going to celebrate his retirement on August 1st of this year. The next person I'd like to recognize is Sergeant Kincaid. Like I said, I always push for professional development. I want officers to grow within their careers and be the best officers going to have professionals here in Surf City. Sergeant Kincaid was recently awarded his intermediate law enforcement certificate for training standards in Raleigh. This certificate is a combination of higher education, his time in law enforcement, and law enforcement specific training. So they don't just give these certifications away. You have to work with them. And they review all the data and they bring it back and they award it. So basically, the way I look at it is when you get your intermediate, you got your bachelor's degree in law enforcement. And then when you move on to the highest honor, the state gives you the advanced law enforcement degree, you got your doctorate. So it's not anything that's easy to get. There are officers that go through their whole careers that never achieve this. So I'd like to congratulate him on that great honor. Two other people that are here tonight that I'd like to recognize. That's Pastor Nick. Pastor Nick. They are our chaplains for the department, and I want to thank them for their spiritual leadership. Thanks for being here.
While you're still standing here, just if I may say a few words. So we are a successful police department because we have a successful police chief that has knowledge. Philip Voorhees, he started working in Surf City March 15, 2008. He moved up rank to sergeant in June 19th of 2012, lieutenant September 15th of 2015, and then became chief January 1st, 2022. Chief Philip Voorhees served in the United States Marine Corps from 1993 through 1997. He had started his career as an officer with the Chicago Police Department, where he was from 2002 to 2007. Chief Voorhees came to Surf City in 2008 as a patrol officer. He was promoted to sergeant in 2012, lieutenant 2015. He is a law enforcement instructor, specialized in firearms instructor, and a Axon Taser instructor, and servicing training coordinator, and holds an advanced law enforcement certification. Chief Voorhees is a graduate of the Coastal Plains Law Enforcement Management Institute. He is a graduate of the Campbell University and has attended over 550 classroom hours of leadership management training and over 1,500 classroom hours of law enforcement Pacific training. Thank you for all you do, to you and to all of your officers. We are greatly thankful and very appreciative. We have another special recognition this evening, and if I could call upon Desiree Tarrant to come up. Sure. And Mr. Mayor Pro-Tem Jeremy Shugarts will present.
So I don't know if anybody knows that one of the things that we pride ourselves on as a community is people volunteer their time. And it's what makes Surf City special. There's so many of you, we're not going to name names today, that just give of their time. And Karen here, which is the chairman of the PSAC committee and is also the president of Fire Bros Auxiliary. Was given the governor's volunteer award this year. I would like to give her a hand for that. Madam Mayor and the council would like to give you the certificate of resignation, not resignation. Recognition. This certificate is proudly presented to Desiree Tarrant in acknowledgement of the numerous volunteer hours and unwavering dedication to our community. Congratulations on being honored with the North Carolina Governor's Award for Volunteer Service. This prestigious resignation, I don't know why I'm not recognition reflects your deep commitment and why we take pride in your connection to this town of Surf City. Thank you so much for all you do. Appreciate it.
Okay. At this time, I'm going to call up Sandy Monroe. She is with our Beautification Enhancement Committee, and she has the awards for Business of the Month and the Home of the Month.
Hello, everybody. I'm not sure if our Business of the Month is not here today, but we would like to recognize our local Surf City McDonald's for the great job they do keeping their lawn and landscaping and everything else really neat and tidy all around the area. So it's a nice little view as you come into town amongst many of the other businesses in that area. We do have our homeowners of the month here, and this is the Karen and Ron Siebert, and they live at 47 North Ridge Road, if you'd like to come up. And we'd really like to thank them for a beautiful job they do with their landscaping and the outside of their home. And we really appreciate the beauty you add to the community. And I would like to give you the opportunity to introduce yourself and tell us maybe where you came
Karen Siebert, this is my husband Ron Siebert. We moved here from New York 8 years ago. And it was the best move that we've made, and we've gotten involved in the community. I happen to be on the board of the Topsail Chamber of Commerce. So I truly appreciate getting this, and I'm honored to get it.
Well, thank you again for the beautiful yard and for all you do in our community.
Thank you.
Okay, moving forward. Adoption of the agenda. I need a motion to adopt the agenda, please.
I'll make a motion to adopt today's agenda.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries to adopt the agenda. Next item is the approval of the consent agenda. I need a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second it.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries to approve the consent agenda. Next item is public comments.
Miss Sandy Monroe.
I hope other people sign up to speak, so it's not hard to say. Sandy Monroe, 316 North Shore. I'm also the chairperson of the Beautification and Enhancement Committee, so the things I'm going to talk about are mostly related to that. I wanted to say thank you. We had a street sweep 2 weeks ago, and there were a lot of great folks from the community that showed up. Especially a thank you out to Sundial Coffee, who provided the coffee and snacks for our sweepers, and J&J Snacks, who also came out and provided some water and little cooler bags and brought a crew of about 10 folks to help us do the cleanup. And also Coastal Carolina Cleanup, which is another group that you see them on social media occasionally. They're cleaning up all around the area, I believe on a weekly basis, but they showed up with a group and helped us out that day. The next thing I wanted to talk about is the mural. If you've been by the Kinston Street access, you'll see that the mural is now completed. The only thing left to do is to put the final sealant on that, which they will be doing, or the muralist Jennifer will be doing on Monday after Mother's Day. So this coming Monday and Tuesday, she'll be finishing up that process. And we have a dedication scheduled for May 22nd at 4:30 at the Kinston Street Access. So there will be some information coming, more information about that will be coming on social media, or you can go to the town's website. I wanted to say a special thank you to one of our newest Beautification and Enhancement Committee members, Jerry Emond. He's been doing a lot of work by the roundabout on the island side, right behind Atlantic Mark. If you'd stand up and wave to everybody. See him out there. He's not one of our new groundskeeping staff or anything, but he's been moving mulch and trimming up plants. And also to Kyle and John, who were out there during our street sweep doing a lot of tidying up in that area. We plan to do a bench and some additional landscaping and some signage there. I'm excited about the new mainland roundabout sign area and the pillar next to it. If anybody's wondering what that is supposed to be for hanging of event signs. And I believe the sign size requirement is maybe a 2x4 or a 3x6. That Kelly probably knows the exact size. So events coming up should make sure they talk with her so that their sign will fit in the sign holder. And that's all I have. So thank you.
Thank you. Carla, we have anyone else?
That is all.
That is all. Okay. All right, thank you, Sandy. Yeah, our sign, our Welcome to Surf City sign looks awesome, and the mural is looking very good. Looking forward to the unveiling. So next on the agenda is a public hearing item for the budget ordinance 24 through 25, and I'm going to call upon Kyle Brewer, our town manager, to present.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and fellow council members and all the public who have shown up to hear about the budget. This is really, I'm seeking tonight a final review and potential consideration for adoption. But in accordance with Section 159-11 of North Carolina General Statutes, I am pleased to present the proposed North Carolina fiscal year 2024-2025 or FY 24-25 budget for the town of Surf City for your review and consideration. The budget is a sound financial plan and follows the council's goals and objectives. All sections of the proposed budget are in conformance with the Local Government Budget and Fiscal Control Act as amended. A balanced budget for the upcoming fiscal year or an interim budget must be adopted by June 30, 2024. Pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 159-12, a public hearing on the proposed budget is being held tonight here at the Surf City Municipal Complex. Copies of the budget were made available to local news media as well as being posted on the website and of course here in Town Hall. The proposed FY 24-25 Surf City budget is balanced and totals $33,084,130 for all operations. The budget is spread over the following funds: your general fund, which is $16,451,037, accommodations tax fund, $2,928,000, water enterprise fund, $3,825,445, sewer enterprise fund, $5,320,712, stormwater enterprise fund, $460,245, capital reserve fund, $275,790, and beach renourishment fund, $3,822,901. The town's capital improvement budget is being included for consideration within the budget ordinance adoption process. The town's largest single source of revenue continues to be from property taxes. Next year, this figure is estimated at $8,097,852 and amounts to some 49% of general fund revenues anticipated for fiscal year 24-25. At the time of this proposed budget was being prepared, and based on numbers provided by Pender and Onslow County tax departments, the town is using a tax base figure of $2,008,820,542. This figure is applied to the current tax rate of 41 cents per $100 in valuation and a tax collection rate of 98.8%, generating $8,097,852 in property tax revenue. Each cent of property tax generates about $198,471.47 in revenue. The second largest source of general fund revenue is derived from local sales taxes, which is anticipated to be $2,745,000. The third being solid waste user fees of $1,385,000, and fourth being local city hold harmless sales tax money of $476,625. Water and sewer fees collected in the town's water and sewer fund generate $9,144,157 for the utilities' separate operation. Other revenue sources such as interest income and a variety of state-collected local revenues are projected to be flat, except for some of the interest income that we have seen in the current market and interest rates that has been projected to be a little bit higher this year. There's a 2 to 3 month lag in receiving some of the revenues, so the annual trend is not easily observed. Expenditure estimates were compiled and formulated by the budget officer and finance director based upon written requests and justification submitted by the various department managers. These requests were made available for council review and included in the budget workbook. Each department's request was given thorough consideration based on current and prior year expenditures, proposed work program needs, inflationary trends, and a review of respective departmental operations. All revenue estimates in the budget are based upon recommendations provided by the North Carolina League of Municipalities, county tax values, current contracts, and figures provided by department heads that have revenue collection responsibility and actual revenues received during the current fiscal year. This budget, like others, is influenced by a multitude of factors, including current economic conditions affecting the price of goods and services sought, escalating personnel costs, as well as current economic activity regarding growth and development. Generally, expenditure requests exceed estimated revenues, which require priority setting based on service delivery and goals. This year is no exception. Department heads are commended for their foresight and intimate knowledge of the needs of their departments, as well as how service delivery is impacted based on funding needs. Of note, budget requests exceeded this year's revenue projections by more than $2.5 million. It is common to have a larger request than what is to be funded. However, sustaining service delivery and addressing capital needs in the current economic climate will require town council to evaluate that balance. In order to maintain that minimum level without sacrificing service delivery, certain capital expenditures will be funded through the Capital Reserve Fund in order to produce a balanced budget. Some of the highlights within the budget are continued funding for beach nourishment, a combination of occupancy tax, ad valorem tax, and paid parking revenues will provide for $3,822,901 to be included within Fund 81. These funds are utilized to continue building the reserve amount in anticipation of the U.S. Army Corps Coastal Storm Risk Management Project. This year's transfer will grow the beach nourishment fund to almost $30 million. The creation of a stormwater utility, a dedicated source of revenue to address stormwater needs throughout the town, is being prioritized and implemented through a new utility. This division will fall under the overall utilities department and will carry out the goals of the town council to research, analyze, and implement a dedicated system for maintenance and improvements. Growth and development, added personnel to the community development department to address current and expected growth. Funding to complete the standards and specifications manual to guide infrastructure investment and overall design of new development. Streets and sidewalks, continue the enhanced funding for town streets and sidewalks. This year's budget includes $350,000 in street maintenance and repair and a total of $275,000 in sidewalk construction, maintenance, and repair. Added personnel on the grounds maintenance side of the facilities and grounds department. Water and sewer, the continued funding for numerous capital projects that are planned and ongoing. And then personnel, a recommended 3.2% cost of living adjustment and 2.5% performance pay or merit based on annual evaluations. In summary, the recommended budget reflects a sound financial vision and plan for the town. I am proud of the mayor and town council, department managers, to specifically include our finance director, and employees of the town for their stewardship of the public dollar and reinvestment back into the quality of life for our citizens. I am not recommending a property tax increase. However, It is being recommended that an additional $10 be included in the sewer service fee for base consumption and increased costs for consumption tiers beyond the minimum, as well as the implementation of the stormwater utility fee, which is based on a tiered structure and impervious surfaces. With that, Madam Mayor and Council, I present to you the fiscal year 24-25 budget. We have gone through budget work sessions, in open meetings, to go over line item by line item. I will spare you some of that information, but again, I'm happy to try to answer any questions that you may have, and then, of course, listening to any public comment through the public hearing process.
Thank you, Kyle, for presenting. At this time, I need a motion to open a public hearing.
I'll make a motion to open public hearing.
Need a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. The public hearing is now open for the budget ordinance 24-25. Anyone that would like to speak concerning the budget can speak at this time. If you would come up to the podium. If you have any question concerning the budget ordinance for 24-25, please come up to the podium and speak. Last chance.
Going.
Hearing no discussion, do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
Motion to close the public hearing.
I'll second it.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. The public hearing is now closed. At this time, I would request a motion to adopt the agenda or the budget agenda for 24-25 fiscal year.
I'll make a motion to adopt the agenda as presented. The
budget
as presented, sorry.
We have
A second.
a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries to adopt the budget for 24-25 fiscal year. Thank you. Next item is also a public hearing. I'm going to call upon our planning director, Amy Kimes, to come up and present revision to Appendix A, Section 5.2, fences.
Good afternoon. So in your packet tonight is a request to revise Appendix A, Section 2. As soon as
Amy, we can't hear you.
Let me move this over here. Technology is not my thing. All right. So Appendix A of the town ordinances creates the zoning requirements for the town. The town is currently working to update the zoning and subdivision ordinances so that they reflect the recently adopted comprehensive land use plan. Ordinances that require more immediate attention are being brought forward on an individual basis. Although they are being brought forward at this time, additional changes may be made during the update process. In March of 2024, town staff received an inquiry regarding the permitting of retaining walls. So someone wanted to make sure they were doing it right, so they reached out to us to see if there was a requirement for retaining walls. The retaining walls are addressed in Appendix A, Section 5.2, fences, which regulates fences and retaining walls. The ordinance requires that fences over 6 feet tall, opaque fences, and retaining walls be approved by the planning board prior to placement. The ordinance does not define opaque and non-opaque fences, but this is addressed on the website under the Community Development Frequently Asked Questions. The website states that a good neighbor or shadow box style fence meets the requirements for non-opaque fencing. Both fences allow for air movement and limited sight through the fence. The town does not require a permit to install a fence. In the past 4 years, one application has been made to the planning board regarding a fence over 6 feet tall. However, the board has not received any requests to approve retaining walls or opaque fences. A survey of the town verified that at least 2 residential retaining walls had been installed without the approval of the planning board. For commercial projects, the retaining walls are typically a part of the site plan approval, which goes through either the TRC process or planning board and council. Staff does not consider landscape borders to be retaining walls. While surveying the town regarding the retaining walls, it was also noted that multiple non-opaque fences had been installed. Staff is requesting that the requirement for retaining walls be approved by the planning board to be removed, and that these walls be approved as a part of the site plan or building review process. Staff is also requesting that fences under 6 feet tall do not require additional approval by the planning board, regardless of the opacity. So basically, anything under 6 feet, whatever you want to do, you can do without planning board approval. Anything above 6 feet would still require that planning board approval. And then for the retaining walls, we would look at that on a staff level. There are certain requirements that kick in, engineering requirements and whatnot. Kenneth with building inspections and myself would be involved with those, but we're asking to remove that from the planning board approval process. The language is noted in your packet with the things I'm asking to be removed marked out. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
All right, so at this time, I need a motion to open the public hearing.
I'll make a motion to open public hearing.
I need a second.
I'll second.
So I have a motion and a second to open the public hearing concerning section 5.2 fences. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. The public hearing is now open. Does anyone have any questions or concerns concerning the revision to Appendix A, Section 5.2 fences under in this public hearing? Does anyone have any questions or concerns concerning the revision to the Appendix A, Section 5.2 regarding fences during this public hearing? Last chance. Hearing none, do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to close the public hearing. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries to close the public hearing. At this time, do I have a motion to move forward with the revision to Appendix A, Section 5.2 fences?
I'll make a motion to approve the revision as presented.
I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, moving forward. Coastal Forest Overlay District Ordinance Revision. This is Amy as well, and this will require another public hearing.
Yes, ma'am. We just discussed, we are updating our town ordinances. We're in that process. You will be hearing more about that soon. We will be getting out that first draft to the public for review, hopefully by the end of the month. So this particular one is in the Coastal Forest Overlay District, which was created to help preserve and protect the remaining maritime forests and natural vegetation in the town's most vulnerable areas. This zoning district encompasses all properties on Topsail Island and properties adjacent to coastal water and wetlands. The Coastal Forest Overlay District Ordinance requires that all material outside the principal structure's footprint and any accessory structures be of a pervious material. Town staff has traditionally interpreted this to include the repair and/or replacement of existing non-pervious material. So an example of that is when you pull out concrete, you can't just fix concrete, you have to pull it out completely. So historically, we have interpreted that once that material is pulled out, the new material that goes in has to be of a pervious material. So 2 recent instances caused staff to review the procedure as existing non-pervious concrete was replaced with non-pervious concrete. As the replacement and repair of existing concrete increases, staff is requesting an amendment to the ordinance to include this historical interpretation. The use of pervious concrete or other pervious materials decreases stormwater runoff. The comprehensive plan has a few different areas that they recommend that we consider amending the ordinances to help with stormwater issues throughout town, and those are listed in your packet. We discussed this at the March 14th, 2024 Planning Board meeting. Due to the time of advertisement, I did not get it on the April meeting, and that's why we're not bringing it forward until today. But the Planning Board discussed the replacement of a portion of the existing non-pervious area versus the replacement of the entire area. The Planning Board agreed that if you're replacing your whole driveway or a large area, that it should be put back with pervious, but they did not feel that small areas that had to be replaced should be replaced with a non-matching. So staff had recommended that any area that is removed be replaced with that. Planning Board has recommended that if you replace less than 25% of the area, you can maintain the existing material. The revision below in the packet is the revision that represents the 20%. The 20% of the impervious materials, and then the original on the next page is the way that staff had originally written it. However, Planning Board did recommend that small area repairs be allowed to remain the existing material. What we don't want to happen is that everybody just repairs a little bit at a time, so eventually they have a brand new driveway of non-pervious material. So this is a clarification of a historical interpretation of the ordinance. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
So at this time, I need a motion to open the public hearing.
I'll make a motion to open public hearing.
Second?
A second.
I have a motion and a second to open the public hearing on the Coastal Forest Overlay District Ordinance Revision for Pervious Material. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries to open the public hearing. So at this time, if there's any questions or concerns that could be answered by Amy or by staff at this time, please come forward. Does anyone have any questions or concerns concerning the revision on the Coastal Forest Overlay District Ordinance? Ask your question if you have a question.
Amy, so I have a question. So I'm on the island, my driveway needs replaced, right? This is what it applies to, correct?
Yes, sir.
So then I would have to put a pervious driveway in, right, if
You
it
have
needs
to put
replaced?
pervious material back
Pervious
in, yes,
material.
sir.
So if it needs replaced, impervious material, what's the cost on pervious material as opposed to non-pervious material?
Pervious concrete is more expensive
Double?
than non-pervious.
Double? Half? One and a half?
Probably close to double. However, you could use other options that may not be as expensive. But pervious
Such
concrete.
as, help me out, such as?
As a clean wash stone, certain pavers. Some people are using hog slats right now. We're having an issue, especially on the island where the lots are higher. That's directing direct runoff into the road and creating those issues. As their development increases, that what is perceived as a little bit of water becomes a much bigger issue.
What's the lifespan of the pervious concrete? Its usable lifespan. Seems to me it fills in with sand.
It kind of depends on where you're at.
Taking our sidewalks.
Sidewalks aren't great. Mine is 5 years old, and I still wash my car. Well, my husband washes my car because he's awesome on it, every couple of weeks, and it still goes in. The rain last night, we watched it drain in. It really depends on where you're at in the island. Theoretically, for it to count as a treatment measure, you are supposed to vacuum it with like a vac truck or something on a periodic basis. However, in your home front yard, we are not asking that you start vacuuming your concrete, so don't freak out. We're not asking that because typically you're not getting the traffic and the wear on it that you would like on the sidewalk or whatnot. So
Be
if
a
your
new business
yard,
for Hugh, Hugh's Vacuum Service. He's going to be, okay.
That's exactly what I'm gonna
I do something in retirement. But if your yard is stable, then your driveway will not fill in that fast, unless there's a hurricane, and then, all bets are off.
And then, so is it 25% or 20% if you need to do a repair?
It's supposed to be 20.
20 on, okay, so 20% needs repair, you can go back to the impervious material?
Yes, whatever your current material is, whether that's black asphalt, concrete.
But if it's more than that, then you have to basically redo the whole project with something
You
different?
don't have to, you don't have to
Or you
tear
have to at least
everything
do
out.
that
You would
part.
just have a portion that is a different material. Typically, though, most homeowners don't do a small portion. They wait until it's very cracked. One of the cases that we had, somebody had set a crane, and the crane outrigger had busted the end a few feet. So it wasn't like it was a random point in the driveway. It was the very end and had been damaged by a specific thing. It wasn't just wear and tear. Most people are going to let their driveways wear and tear down and not fix them until the end because it's expensive.
I don't know if this is something that we have here or not, but if we have more than one area of impervious materials, are you looking at the total area or just the portion? So let's say you have a driveway and then maybe you have a slab that you have something else on.
If you're repairing the driveway, we would look at the driveway.
Just the
If you have a
driveway,
piece of
even if you have
concrete
something
over
else.
there that's
Okay.
something separate that you're not touching, then that wouldn't count as a part of the item that you're repairing.
Okay.
We're just clarifying the language on what goes back. Okay,
Yes, sir.
thank you.
Any further discussion? Anyone else would like to speak concerning the revision concerning pervious material during this public hearing? Hearing none, can I have a motion to close the public hearing?
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to close the public hearing. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries to close the public hearing. At this time, if there is no further discussion, do I have a motion to approve the planning board's recommendation?
I make a motion to approve the revision as presented.
I'll second that.
Just for clarification, that was the 20% recommendation from the planning board?
With the 20, with the proper percentage, yeah,
Okay.
20%.
Was that your second as well? Yes.
Okay. I have a motion and a second to approve the ordinance as presented with a 20% revision. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, moving on to old business. At this time, under old business, we have a special resolution for Thread FX screen printing and embroidery. And I'm going to call upon Kyle Brewer to present.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to recuse myself from any discussion on this topic, please.
Okay, so at this time, Mayor Pro-Tem is asking to recuse himself from this topic because it is a personal business that is owned by his family. I need a motion from the board to allow him to recuse himself.
I'll make a motion to allow him to recluse himself.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries to allow Mayor Pro Tem to recuse himself during this topic. And I'll call upon Kyle Brewer to present.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and again, council, good afternoon. There is a specific statute that deals with the matter at hand right now, and that's North Carolina General Statute 14-234, subsection A1, which requires the town to adopt a resolution to support the town doing business where an elected official in which may derive a direct benefit from a contract with the town. The town does have interest in potentially entering into contract with threat effects and therefore must adopt a resolution. So, historically, the town has done business with the mentioned business threat effects. Mayor Pro-Tem Jeremy Shugarts, the town of Surf City, is married to Tracy Shugarts, and as such, the town's contracting with threat effects of Topsail Island LLC is subject to the provisions of North Carolina General Statute 14-234. And therefore, we will have to review any sort of purchasing that is made. There are parameters and stipulations on this, that no contract or sum of contracts between the elected official or family member can exceed $60,000 within a 12-month period. The elected official entering into the contract with the town does not participate in any way or vote. And essentially, we have to then post within Town Hall a list of all purchases that go through threat effects or any other business or entity in which this board has approved through a special resolution process. With that being said, the town put out a request for proposals, essentially a pricing sheet for various embroidery, screen printing, what I would call swag items. I'm sure there's a technical term for it. And there are multiple companies within our area in which we can procure and utilize for these goods that various departments use. So I don't want to say every department, but most departments are buying things with town logos for uniforms, or Parks and Rec for bags or water bottles, etc. The potential adoption of this resolution does not preclude the town from following our own purchasing policies. Our purchasing policies are stricter than the state would require, and any purchase that exceeds $500 has to go through a purchase order process in which 3 quotes are obtained. Generally, that's through an informal process where I'm calling a vendor and saying, hey, I need this quantity of this product. What is that? Or can you email me a quote, et cetera? And we do require employees in purchasing ability to obtain those quotes when any purchase exceeds $500. So I did want to mention that. However, going through the process of obtaining these estimates or these quotes on a various list of goods, if somebody in a purchasing position is buying a good that is on this list and this list specific, they can proceed with that, and that could be threat effects, or that could be intercoastal, or the other entity, the third entity on there, because we would look at this as the 3 quotes have been secured. If it is not specific to this list, they will still need to go and get those quotes, et cetera. So it is required that you consider the resolution in order for the town to consider or potentially do business with any sort of entity related to any town council member. So that is what is before you this evening. The pricing sheet has been provided to all of council, and again, it just varies greatly as to what the actual product you're purchasing. A cost of a t-shirt can differ between a cotton t-shirt and a dry fit t-shirt. So we will still have to go through these processes, but certainly there was one thing with embroidery services that is a low bid. But you guys aren't approving any bidding on that. We follow our own process. It's essentially adopting the resolution acknowledging this so that we can proceed. I'll be happy to try to answer any questions, and our new faithful attorney is here at the other end. I'm sure can answer questions as well.
Thank you for explaining that. I think bringing it out in the open clears a lot of questions, not only with us, which we discussed during our workshop. A lot of, the public has also asked questions about, any council person or myself doing business with the town, and this is a clear state statute that has that has been presented to us tonight. And if anyone has any questions today that you want to discuss.
I'm good.
Trudy, you good?
I'm good. I appreciate this comparison. Thank you.
So essentially, this allows us to still look for bids, but it's saying essentially if ThreatFX comes in as the lowest bid, then we have the option to do business with them at that point. It's not saying we're going to them by default.
That's correct. And, a good example is, Parks and Rec and ordering soccer jerseys. They've used a vendor, and they most likely continue to use a vendor because it's cheaper. But there are things like turnaround time where responsiveness comes into play. If I need a patch sewn on a police officer's uniform, I can't wait 2 years, for that to happen, or whatever it may be. And I put all the credit to our finance department, who looks over this stuff very closely. And anytime a purchase order comes through their process, they have to see those things in the system. Now, what we will have to do, just from an accounting standpoint, is purchases that are made under a threshold, we still have to account for those and still have a running tally according to the state statute. But this does not grant a purchase order to ThreatFX or any business for $60,000. So.
If there's no more discussion, this is going to require a specific action, so I would request that the town council consider approval of the special resolution as presented. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept the special resolution as presented.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries to approve the special resolution with ThreatFX screen printing and embroidery. Okay. Next item is the Helbig Foundation Partnership, MOU, and our Chief of the Fire Department, Alan Wilson, will present.
Madam Mayor, Council, thank you for allowing me to come and speak. And on the heels of our two resolutions for water and beach safety, it's really exciting to be able to bring this to you today, because we've been working on this project for almost a year now to expand the beach conditions and flags and can program. And what you have before you is the MOU between the town of Surf City, the Surf City Fire Department, and the Jack Helbig Memorial Foundation to expand this program. And we presented that program a few months back, and we've been working on this legal document to kind of put this partnership in place. And the fire department is requesting, review and approval of the MOU for the partnership with the Helbig Foundation to expand the beach flag and can program. And they're pledging the upfront cost as well as an annual contribution for maintenance for the next 5 years. They will offer and manage a sponsorship program to recoup their cost. So that'll come out as soon as we get, the media involved. We get a press release out. They're going to handle that sponsorship program. They're going to put the information out. You'll pay them directly. We'll put a little sign up on each beach access. But it's exciting to have a conditioned flag and a can at every public beach access. So we've been working on that for a couple years now, and this program kind of fell in our lap. So we're really excited to get this moved forward, but we are requesting that you approve this MOU today. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
It's not really a question, but for those that may not know, you used the term "can" three times in your presentation. I'm familiar with what you're talking about, but you may want to just say,
sure.
hey, what this includes, because I think it's a big deal.
So our rescue can is a flotation device that's will be available at each beach access. So if a bystander is willing and able to effect a rescue that they see, they can grab a flotation device and use that to effect a rescue.
Like I said, I think it's a big deal. I just wanted clarification for anybody that's listening. For those of you who are old enough to remember Baywatch, he's talking about the red with the two handles and it's straight.
There you go. You had to throw Baywatch out there.
And the way I understand it, this thing kind of gives you a description on how to
Yes.
use it, and they've got documented saves based on this program.
We do. Yep. Just this past year.
I think it's great. I'm excited about this coming online.
Yep. And we've revamped the entire program. Instead of having 2 different signs at various locations of the 11 beach accesses that we started with, we actually have one sign that has all the information. We moved it to the dune line on one post. The flag's going to be at the dune line and not up on the beach access flag, so much more visible for people on the beach, and of course it's going to be visible for the entire beach. So we're really excited. We already have that initial 11 that we've already, put in place 3 years ago. They're already installed, so we're just waiting for this process and get the new equipment in to expand it to the entire beach.
So moving forward, how if we approve tonight, how long before it's
So we'll
completely
get this
installed?
executed between us and the Hellbig Foundation, and then hopefully we'll get a press release out within the next week or so. And then as soon as we start getting, the signs and stuff have already been ordered. So we're just waiting for the materials to come in, and then we'll just start expanding at that point.
Okay. Does anyone else have any questions?
You planning to have some volunteer opportunity to get some of this stuff set up if people in the community want to help install?
Absolutely. We actually, we had Mr. Charlie Medlin come out with his Eagle Scout project for the initial 11, because part of this revamping process, actually on each sign there's a QR code, and Mr. Medlin actually came up with the idea of having the QR code, and it links to our beach safety page, but it also not only provides beach safety information, but it provides fishing regulation information. And that was something that he wanted as part of his Eagle Scout project. And when me and the manager met with him, we kind of tweaked it a little bit to really help and do what we thought would be much more beneficial for us as a whole, to incorporate ocean rescue safety, the new signs. So it's going to be really exciting. But get back to your point. The scouts came out and we built the 11 signs in no time. I mean, we had one that we kind of messed around with to get the height and to get the spacing right, and then those boys and gals, they just knocked it out. So we're going to probably do the same thing, maybe work with their troop or another troop, but we'll put it out to the public as well. But with, many hands make light work, so we'll get it out there. And I'll tell you, a gas-powered auger is the ticket to digging the holes in the beach. It really helped to have that when we put the posts in the beach. So, but we'll get it out there once we know what those work days are.
I know for people that are visiting, they might, need to read the instructions, but maybe Kelly can help do a little instructional video that we can put out, because when you have all those people living on the beach, if we've already showed them how to use it, it just makes it that much faster for them to get out there and do it.
We can make that happen.
Yeah. Awesome.
So this is for 39 stations. Is that in addition to the 11?
39 total.
The total.
So
That's what I thought.
the initial 11 are already in
Part
place,
of that.
but so we're just adding to it to include all 39. And then there's going to be a handful of private ones that will probably come online at some point, but we still have to work through that. I know there's several HOAs that have already reached out to us about potentially putting one at their access. We just have to figure out how we want to address, how to number, so we and the people that use it, they know exactly where they are.
Next question. Okay, thank you.
So we're still working on it.
Okay. Any further discussion? If not, this does require specific action. Do I have a motion to move forward for the town council to consider approval of the MOU as presented for the Hellbig Foundation partnership?
I'll make that motion.
A second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries for the Hellbig Foundation partnership.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, under new business, we have the Nelva R. Albury Recreational Area Playground Equipment Replacement, and Jody Shepard, our Parks and Rec Director, will come forward to present.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This afternoon, I come to you with a budget ordinance amendment recommendation to replace the toddler playground structure at Nelva Albury Recreation Area. This structure has been closed down for several months. Staff has went through the process to see what it would be for cost of replacement parts, having a restoration company come out that does nothing but playgrounds to give us a price quote for that, and then looking at the potential for new playground. This has went through the Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee. We have discussed it. We went through all the different processes on what we could do. It would make the most sense for us to replace this structure. This structure was here prior to me being in this position, the prior Parks and Recreation Director. It would just make sense with it being so close to the ocean that we look at replacing this and getting something safe out there for the community. So we have taken it through the Parks and Recreation Committee, and we're requesting $56,000 to replace the toddler playground as well as the swing sets located out there.
Does anyone have any questions concerning the request for the resolution that the South Shore at the Nelva R. Alberry Recreational Playground equipment?
I have a statement. I know this is one of our few like toddler playground areas that we have in Surf City, so it's pretty important that we get it back up and operational quickly. So, especially going into the season, they did a really good job getting us all the information. So, I think it's awesome.
Had many community members reach out, and that is a heavy use toddler playground. So this replacement toddler playground will be ages 2 to 5, where those other playgrounds that you see on our other properties are 5 to 12-year-olds.
And you also said this is primarily like a heavy-duty plastic, not as much of the metal.
We were looking at the set that we're moving forward that we took recommendations to the PRAC committee. We went ahead and decided on one of those sets that would best meet our needs, and more poly resin, not a lot of metal on it, something that can withhold the sand and the salt a little bit better than what's currently there.
If there is no more discussion or comments, I would ask for.
I have something.
Okay.
So, obviously, we have three parks on the island, and the crap gets beat out of them, right? Constantly, everything from our stages to our electrical to our swing sets, everything is replaced all the time, so it's no secret. I'm going to approve this, but I would like us to have some discussion very soon about getting a fence around that. You keep mentioning toddler. It's really close to the road, and while we're doing this, we should really consider putting a fence around it, or at least some portion to that side of North New River. I think everybody here agrees. You spend a few bucks on a fence, not worth a child's life that decides to bolt out in front of the traffic. So I think we should have some consideration of that soon. That discussion should come up quickly while you're doing this. Thank you.
Any other comments? At this time, can I request a motion to move forward with the Nelva R. Alberry Recreation Area Playground Equipment Replacement that is requested by Jody Shepard, our Parks and Rec Director?
I'll make a motion to move forward on this.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries to move forward with the request for replacement of the playground equipment. Thank you, Jody. Next item is a resolution for the South Shore Drive striping. And I will call upon our town manager, Cal Brewer, to present.
Thank you again, Madam Mayor, Council. The resolution before you is really something that NCDOT is going to require should the town consider the request to go back and stripe South Shore Drive with a double yellow or no passing zone. So the portion of town in which DOT is resurfacing goes from the island roundabout down to the Surf City Topsail Beach town line. It's about three and a half miles, and right now there's a series of double stripe line, solid line with a dash, and then just the dash line. There's 13 different variations of that through that 3.5 miles. So it does, depending on where you're at, it can change pretty quickly. But with the opportunity it comes up with the resurfacing project, We just felt that the narrowness of the roadway and number of pedestrians that cross the roadway to travel to and from the beach, the town may request the NCDOT to install the double yellow center line striping, creating a no passing zone throughout this stretch of roadway. Since the application of double yellow striping isn't warranted from NCDOT parameters, they're requesting a resolution from the town to request this application. Warrants for application are based on documented incidents, may be based on the geometry of the road, if there's tight corners, et cetera. But they basically said that it doesn't warrant the double striping, and therefore requesting the town to approve a resolution if that's what we want. So based on document incidents, and the thought process to drive this request is to be proactive as opposed to waiting for the incident to occur. The town manager and chief of police are recommending council take action on the resolution. We do understand that this does not prevent any sort of accidents from occurring, but may hopefully make people think twice about doing unsafe movements along that roadway, as it is a heavily traveled roadway. So there was some additional statistics that were provided to you. This is, speeding does occur down South Shore. We've had a couple of accidents. The chief shared with us that the pedestrian or bicycle accident that was documented last year was actually the bicyclist's fault and not the motorist's fault. But there are some things that we can tie to it. But again, this is in an effort to try and be proactive with it as opposed to reactive. So I can try to answer any questions the council has on this. There's also some questions about passing a stopped trash truck or stopped mail carrier, and the chief has determined that those would be obstructions within the road, and that you would have the legal ability to pass those obstructions if you were traveling along South Shore. So again, I can try to answer any questions, or the chief is here to try to answer any questions.
Does a person driving 5 miles an hour rubbernecking, does that constitute as an obstruction?
It does not. No.
Because that happens all the time.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Then I would get a ticket.
A lot of people will.
Yeah, you would probably too, wouldn't you?
Well, my opinion is I'm afraid we're creating a problem instead of solving a future problem. In that, well, you basically create a scenario where from the town line to the circle about 4 miles that you can't pass a car no matter if it's moving, and you've basically locked down all of Topsail Beach residents going and coming. I don't think that, I know you said it was a bicycle collision, that was the bicycle. The double yellow line's not gonna correct bicycle behavior. I don't know that there's enough, the manager and the chief and I spoke earlier, I don't know that there's any real documentation of collisions or citations of improper or illegal passing. And we're not road engineers. DOT, for whatever reason, they said it doesn't warrant double yellow. That's why basically they're saying, if you want to do this, you have to pass this resolution for us to do it. It doesn't fit our model. And they're the road engineers, so I would say we divert to their database and their knowledge, and what they recommend is going to be my recommendation, or is going to be my position.
I have a question. And you might have said this. In this section, we're talking about from the traffic circle essentially all the way to the Topsail Beach line. And currently, how much of that had some sort of passing area? Like, would it maybe be advantageous for us to at least leave like a couple areas where it's okay to pass instead of making the whole thing? And
I'm not trying to sway council on any of it, but with the timing of the project, unfortunately, I don't think that we're going to be able to have that opportunity to say, okay, well, we would like for a section to remain that way. I think that they'll probably just revert back to whatever their original striping plan would have been. I just don't have a good answer for you on that. Good
Can I
question.
ask a question from the Allen traffic circle to the North Topsail Beach line? What is the amount of a passing zone? What is the length of a passing zone? How many passing zones are there from the Allen Traffic Circle to the North Topsail Beach Town Line.
Yeah, so I'm actually cruising around on Google Maps right now, and it is a single hard yellow and then a dash basically from the gathering up north. Beyond there, I mean, Mayor, I'd be happy to kind of cruise through here. That's the consistent striping, and then it goes to just a dash line at about JM's, going through high waters, I believe. And then it goes back to double yellow line at high water. So again, I think that there's a
Have
pattern
basically
of,
maybe 2 blocks that are dashed on North New River Drive.
Yeah, probably about 2 blocks. But then it goes back to double yellow, heading towards surf condos. Then you have a split for the turns or turn lane at surf condos, et cetera. Let me get up to like Mecklenburg area.
I'm going to ask one more question while you're looking. What about bicyclists? Because there's nowhere that you can ride your bike there as far as on the sidewalk. That's great for biking. So is that considered a vehicle, and are we allowed to then pass a bicycle that's moving?
Yes, they'll stripe the bicycle lane back into the
bike lane.
roadway.
There's no bike lane.
Oh,
It's
okay.
a sidewalk. I mean, there's nothing on that portion to ride. You're either riding on the sidewalk, which is covered in riprap half the time, or
gotcha.
you're riding on the edge of the side of the road, which is pretty narrow. And we do have a lot of cyclists that sometimes group together as well. That just because I ride that portion all the time, so I'm thinking in my mind what I would.
So in the general statute, there's a provision on a double yellow line, you can pass a bicycle or a moped. There's provision for that. It's legal to do that on a double yellow.
Okay.
It is, it's double yellow from that previous location, surf condos all the way up through, I'm at the trailer bar right now.
Yeah, it's pretty consistent from.
So
Definitely
a majority of
surf
your
condos,
North New
yeah.
River going to North Topsail Beach is double line, double
Mhm.
yellow.
And it's a higher speed limit, correct?
Not in Surf City.
Oh, not in Surf City. Yeah, that's
It's
right.
35.
Yeah.
so.
Have we talked to Topsail Beach at all about implementing this, and is this something that they would carry through as well?
I have not, no.
Because the other thing is, then if you have somebody coming from Topsail Beach and they have dotted lines, and then you're not always paying attention to the road changes. Unfortunately, that's just.
They have a
realist-
mix of their striping as well. Again, I don't know if I could define what their rules are, DOT, because it seems to be pretty, I don't want to say willy-nilly, I'm sure it's not willy-nilly, but there's very small sections that you're going to have a dash line, and we were talking before, it would be very difficult to even pass within the parameters within those small areas. So again, just trying to look at this as a potential.
Did you say
proactive.
time sensitive? This is time sensitive? Is this
Yeah.
why it's on, is this why it's on here now? 'Cause this
DOT is
is-
getting ready to stripe.
We typically would take something like this to a work session. And again,
Well,
you
that to
know,
me even gives us more reason not to be hasty. We didn't get a chance to sit down and really discuss it through and look at the data, so I think we should crutch on, well, DOT, that's what they do. They're engineers, they're traffic engineers, they take in all accounts, whatever it is we're looking for, and I think, man, I'm just telling you, if we double stripe that from the town line to the circle, we're creating problems, we're not solving problems. It's not gonna be much different than being on 17. When somebody's traveling in the left lane, pacing the cars beside you, it's gonna create people to do stuff more reckless than if that car going the same speed would be in the line and let traffic flow. And I'm speaking on 30 years of experience of doing highway work and enforcement. That's my knee-jerk reaction.
I'm just concerned more about pedestrians. I mean, I understand the cars and the traffic and trying to pass someone, but there's so many pedestrians who cross the road there. I was leaning towards the double line, but then you're predicting human
But when you
behavior.
think about this, though, no passing has nothing to do.
Well, when someone starts to
enforcement and
pass,
instruction
then you don't
people
see that
of
person coming
walking
across
the
because
road.
there's a car there blocking your view. So when you're passing someone and there's someone who's already started to cross or whatever, I mean, I think your vision's limited.
Chief, I'd ask you in the last 10 years, how many pedestrian collisions have we had in that section of people crossing the highway? I know traffic's, but that's why I said let's expand it out. Let's see how many we've had. and I know you ain't gonna know it off the top of your head. Best guess, in your recollection of since you were here, I've lived on that road since 2011. Not that I will see all the collisions, but I don't remember a pedestrian wreck. That don't mean there wasn't one there.
I remember specifically 2 that I responded to, both with injuries with pedestrians on South Shore Drive.
Is that a passing
One
zone or
was
is that-
one was a bicyclist that was hit, and the other one was
Bicycles don't
pedestrian.
count as pedestrian. So one pedestrian collision.
Yeah, but they're people.
It is people, but the bicycles are held to a different standard than pedestrians. They have to, bicyclists are held to traffic laws of the motor vehicle.
I think we're also talking about the fact that, yeah, there are people that live here. You know, I understand you live here, I live here, but the influx of people that come that don't live here, one, are trying to look for their rental home, 2, they're in a hurry to get wherever because they've got to make a certain appointment or a certain thing where they've got to go pick up something to get back, go pick up a pizza and they get back. And they don't take in account for the other people that are driving respectively. So I've been passed dozens of times in the last 10 years. By people, for me, no reason other than, where the heck are you going so fast? Why do you need to go 3 miles down the road and turn into a driveway faster than you can at 35 miles an hour? Because that's our speed limit. North Topsail Beach is 45. You talk about we should consult with Topsail Beach. Well, their speed limit's a little lower than ours. North Topsail's higher than ours. So, I mean, town can set their own speed limit, I guess, right?
Not on a state roadway.
No.
So why is ours 35 and North Topsail is 45?
I don't have an answer for that.
Well, that's DOT engineered, figured out, but the engineers don't live here. You know, they don't live here. They don't have
I
to
live here.
travel.
I live on that road.
But you're not an engineer.
I'm not an engineer,
Well,
but I
that's what I'm
also
saying.
travel that road 6 times a year, and none of us here are engineers. That's my argument. Man, I see more problems than I do solutions by doing that.
I was just saying, if it's such a fact that it should be split lines or white lines or whatever, DOT's not adamant about it. They said we can do what we want.
Well, I think
If it was so important, why wouldn't they just say, no, you can't do that?
I think a point is for somebody that it maybe does live down there and you do have somebody that's going maybe 5 miles an hour, like trying to figure out where they're trying to get to. For people that do live here and have a schedule that they need to kind of keep to, you're now taking the opportunity away from them to make a legal vehicular movement that they could be doing the right thing at the right place at the right time, but now you're not allowing them to do that. And it could potentially cause worse traffic issues than what we already have, where you would be able to maybe pass somebody, or maybe it's a vehicle that's got a problem and they're inching along instead. And, you know, I think there's.
I agree.
I
It's
understand
been
that,
my
'cause-
experience to impatience and lack of attention is the
I
largest
understand all that,
contributor.
but, and I lived in New York for most of my life, 50 years, and that's why I'm early at everything I go to, because you got to compensate for people that might not drive as fast as you, or you might be caught in traffic, so you adjust yourself.
Okay. All right. You guys want to say
Yeah, I'm just going to say the last thing. I mean, I appreciate we want to listen to what you and Kyle say. It's very important to us, and I take it wholeheartedly. And then, I understand Mr. Cannady's point here for sure. And, I'm going to be honest with you, I don't like making decisions on something fast. I struggle with that process. On education, I struggle with that. And I don't like more rules. I'm just being honest with you. So to me, it's another rule that we're implementing that we have to put in. So at the end of the day, that I struggle with that process. It has nothing to do with whether I believe the two of you know what you're talking about, but another rule we put into effect, and I'm not sure that it's going to do nothing but hurt our citizens. That rule may affect our citizens more than anything currently, just based on everything I've listened to and I've seen. So I think if I had more time to digest this and look at it and really go through it, I could probably change or make a different decision. But at this point,
I agree with the hasty part. I think if we had more time to
fast,
digest
and I
it,
know you need a fast
that's what
decision.
needs
Yeah,
to
yeah.
We, I'm just gonna chime in here. So we have a park. We have 3, maybe 4 parking lots, town designated parking lots on the right-hand side of either South Topsail Road or South Shore Drive. Is that correct?
That's correct. And correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Brewer, but I believe we had 20 beach accesses down along South Shore Drive also.
So, 20 beach accesses, many subdivisions where I drive down on a Saturday or Sunday, sometimes not purposely, but I'm forced to drive that way because usually I try not to, unless I know the hours that are going to be slim with traffic. But I see so many children and adults standing by the road, and you have a car that's getting, driving slow in front of you, and you want to pass. So I have seen it many times where people have pulled out to pass, and all of a sudden someone's crossing the road in front of them, and they've gunned it. They're now going above the speed limit to get to pass that car that was driving slow. And, you see, parents, jerking their kids and then running off the road. So I know it's a decision that we have to make quickly because of DOT. Knowing that North New River Drive only has 2 blocks, and it is a state road. Knowing that North New River Drive only has 2 blocks of a passing zone, basically, from the roundabout to our town line in North Topsail Beach. I don't think asking to put a double stripe line from the roundabout to the Topsail Beach state line is too much to ask for. So I can tell that we're probably not going to be all together on this, so.
I'm gonna make a motion that we decline the double stripe and let the NCDOT determine the striping of that section of road. Is the motion I'd like to make.
I'd like to second that.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Aye.
All right, so we had 1, 2, 3 that said yes, and 2 said no. Motion carries to contact DOT for further instructions on striping. Thank you.
The clarity resolution did not pass.
Resolution did not pass.
Okay, I'll let them know, and I'll still, again, I will advocate on behalf of the town as much as I can, and perhaps there's some discussion we can have for areas of non-stripe like Councilwoman Hawley was referring to. We'll still have those conversations, and we'll do what we can. But I appreciate the consideration, and again, I don't like to be bringing these things to y'all, but it was a decision that essentially they put onto the town in order to implement.
Okay, moving forward, we'll go back to Cal Brewer for the manager's report.
Okay, well, speaking of South Shore, the contractor is, I'll say, generally complete with the installation work of the stormwater projects. The new stone has been placed at 1815. We're waiting on their go-ahead to get our staff to go put back our parking bumpers and signage. 2201, that site is complete. It just needs the new sidewalk to be poured that will connect the crossover over to the sidewalk along South Shore. And then to finish out the project, the contractor supplier is delayed in receiving the lid for the wet well that houses the pump that feeds the 1815 site. They will work to install a control panel until they receive the necessary parts to complete the project. Then the DOT resurfacing project continues to progress. I was down there today. Looks like they've made good work, but they've indicated that the estimated completion date of the project will be May 17th, which seemed like forever ago, but it's now here in the next week and a half. So good progress on that project. The Surf City Land Use Code update, Amy had alluded to this, but the steering committee and staff have been working with Withers Ravenel for the last 9 months, updating the town's land development code for the town. First full draft has been developed, and we are at the point where we need review and input from the council. Changes thus far have focused around making the ordinance easier to read and understand, stricter policies to protect our natural resources, providing additional opportunities for greenways and recreation, improving design standards for buildings and signs, and renaming and recharacterizing zoning districts to reflect more appropriate uses and development. Copies of the zoning ordinance chapters, the subdivision ordinance, and appendices will be provided to you for your review. There's a lot of reading, and this may take you some time, but we want to make sure you have plenty of time to absorb the content, ask questions, and make recommendations. There will be a more in-depth presentation by the consultant at the workshop meeting on the 17th. A special work session with the steering committee and planning board will be held on May 30th. The May 17th work session will be an opportunity to hear what has been done so far, the major updates, and ask questions. The 30th will be to delve into the minor and major changes and build consensus on the policies recommended. The planning board would like to discuss a recommendation in early June, so we're looking forward to feedback and suggestions throughout this month. The Earl G. and Inez Batts Recreation Complex, we have a meeting set for tomorrow at 11 a.m. to meet with the skate park project manager so he can walk us through the process of building that park. I know council's been invited, as well as our skate park design team and the PRAC committee. The facilities expansion project, so this is, we finished up interviews with the two firms that submitted their qualifications to lead the town through the design build process for the community center expansion, the Station 25 fire expansion, and new utilities department site. We will negotiate the scope of work and bring that back to the board for consideration. The initial scope of work is intended to get the town to a point of understanding total costs so we can make an informed decision on how to proceed with the projects. The GMP, or guaranteed maximum price, is what we will be seeking, and then we will share that with our financial strategist and analyst and determine the best routes for us to move forward in order to fund those projects. We will inherently see cost savings if we do them at all at one time, but that includes most likely more debt that the town would take on, but the projects being identified as needs for the town. So we're excited about that process moving forward. The North Carolina Beach Inlet and Waterway Association will be meeting in Emerald Isle this week, Thursday and Friday. I'll be serving on a panel discussion about state and federal funding, but this is always a good opportunity to hear from resource agencies, regulatory agencies, legislators, and academic interests on coastal issues. Let's see, our new auditing firm has already started, and they've been working, Melissa, on their long list of items that they'll start reviewing. So we adopt the budget tonight, but we automatically move into the auditing process of our the current fiscal year that we're in. So getting a jump start on that, that gets us to a point where we can see an audit and get that approved and get that to LGC. And then just reiterating real quick what Sandy had brought forth about the mural at Access 19. I went by last week and looked at it, actually on Friday, and looking forward to the unveiling on the 22nd at 4:30. So just wanted to note that, and you know, the good work of the street sweep. I think it's always a good opportunity to get your eyes on the streets and in town, and I always appreciate the committee putting those on so that we have those opportunities. And John, I appreciated working with you. So, all right, very good. That's my report, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Okay, so at this time I'll go to the attorney.
Yeah, real quick, I haven't been in it long, so I don't have much to report other than to say thank you all for entrusting me with this position. Hope to do you proud. I've also had the time to talk a lot with Kyle, came down and met a lot of the staff. You got a wonderful manager and professional staff directing the town, so everything should be in good hands. I don't see any wrinkles that should come up or surprises for you, and we'll just keep checking along.
Thank you. All right, we'll start with Miss Alicia.
I don't really have much to say. Thanks, everybody, for coming today, and I'm glad we were able to not increase our tax rates, and that's always a good thing, so thanks.
John?
Yes, I'll ditto that. Thanks for coming today. Congratulations to the police department, Captain Johnson, serving all those years. It says a lot for.
It's going to get here. I'm hoping it's going to be a great one. Miss Sandy Seems that's hard. You the hardest working person there is in Surf City. Every time we come up, she's got something going on. I don't know how anybody keeps up with you. Like Kyle and everyone else has said, I'm really excited about seeing the mural unveiling. That's going to be exciting. I'm really digging on that. Chief's deal with the Hellberg Foundation, I think you could tell earlier, I'm really excited about that. I think that's going to be a great asset to the town. And I'm really excited we're done talking about budgets for a while. Holy cow, we got it passed and we got it done. Thanks a lot. That's all I got.
Trudy?
Yes. I just think we have so many great things to talk about. I know there's a lot of people in town who have a lot of concerns and questions, and I love that too. But with the mural and the safety cans on the beach and the paving and the stormwater on South Shore, and then we are going to have a coffee with council opportunity to sit down and just talk more freely, because when you come up and do your little speech, it's quick and we don't have conversations about that. Anyway, that's I hope we can do a lot of things like that, and the public can have a chance to meet some department heads more casually and talk to council, and that's on Tuesday the 14th at 9 a.m. at Sundial Coffee. So I invite everybody. I love the attendance, but it's just another opportunity for people who maybe couldn't make this meeting to come and chat.
Thank you. I'd like to thank this council that sits up here for all their hard work in getting us through budget season with the help of all of our department heads, and an outstanding job that Melissa, our finance director, and her team, along with our town manager, Cal Brewer. I know there were a lot of cuts made, and you know, those cuts were not easy to make, but they had to be made, so we wouldn't have to increase taxes, which no one wants to hear that word. So today I'm very, very thankful that we talked about a lot of safety stuff. We talked about safe boating. We talked about beach safety. We talked about National Police Week. We talked about the safety of the Hellberg Foundation and the safety of the playground equipment. And I just want us to be very mindful of all the traffic that we are getting ready to see come into town, and for us to be aware of pedestrians that are walking, swimmers that are in the boats. There's a lot of people that come down and think that they know how to drive a boat, and they probably should take a lesson before they get on that boat. But I'm very grateful for our volunteers. We have amazing residents that live here, and your volunteer service is greatly appreciated. So with that, I hope you have a good evening, and can I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Can I have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. We are adjourned.